The oppressive weight of the ocean pressed in around Arthur, not as a familiar embrace, but as a shroud. He moved through the darkening currents, leaving behind the ravaged grandeur of the royal palace, the echoes of Coram Wrath's tyrannical decrees still vibrating in the water. Wrath, the usurper, had brought Atlantis to its knees, and the loyalists, few and scattered, were barely holding on. Hope was a flicker, distant and dim. But Arthur, the deposed king, knew that hope, however faint, had to be ignited into a roaring flame. And that fire, he realized with a heavy heart, might demand the most unconventional fuel. His journey now took him not to a trusted ally, nor to a loyal general, but to the infamous Ninth Triad, a place where the light of Atlantean law barely penetrated. A labyrinth of shadows, illicit dealings, and raw, untamed power. This was King Shark's domain. The Ninth Triad was a stark contrast to the shimmering spires of Upper Atlantis. Here, the structures were cruder, forged from salvaged wreckage and dark coral, clinging to the deep-sea vents that belched forth sulfurous fumes. The air, thick with the scent of brine and danger, was a constant hum of whispered transactions and unspoken threats. Every shadow seemed to hold a lurking presence, every glint of metal a potential weapon. Arthur, clad not in his royal armor, but in muted, practical gear, was acutely aware of the eyes tracking his every move. This was a place where kings held no sway, only power, and his power, in this realm, was currently diminished. He moved with purpose, however, guided by a desperation that had sharpened his resolve. He knew he was entering the lair of a beast, a formidable crime lord who ruled through intimidation and sheer brute force. King Shark was an entity of raw, primal power, a being whose very presence could part the waters, and whose reputation preceded him in every murky corner of the deep. To seek an alliance with such a figure was to truly plumb the depths of necessity. He found King Shark in what could only be described as his throne room, a cavernous space carved into the rock, illuminated by bioluminescent fungi that cast an eerie, shifting glow. The massive hammerhead-like figure of Nanaue, King Shark himself, reclined on a crude throne, surrounded by his imposing lieutenants. His eyes, dark and ancient, fixed upon Arthur with an immediate predatory interest. "So," King Shark rumbled, his voice a gravelly tremor that resonated through the water, "the deposed king comes to beg. A long way from your golden palace, fish boy." There was a sneer in his tone, an underlying current of contempt and amusement. The tension in the chamber was palpable, thick enough to be cut with a trident. Arthur stood his ground, meeting the gaze without flinching. "I have not come to beg, Nanaue," Arthur stated, his voice calm, steady, betraying none of the apprehension he felt. "I have come to negotiate. Atlantis is in peril, a peril that will soon extend even to your kingdom." King Shark let out a low, guttural laugh. "My kingdom? This is my territory. Wrath's squabbles with the elites mean nothing to me. We thrive in chaos." "Do you?" Arthur pressed, taking a step closer, his focus unwavering. "Coram Wrath seeks absolute control. His forces are already spreading, annexing territories, demanding tribute. Do you truly believe his insatiable hunger for power will stop at the boundaries of your Ninth Triad? He will consolidate all power, strip away all independence, and your criminal empire, Nanaue, built on the fringes, will be crushed beneath his heel. He will not tolerate an independent power, even one as unconventional as yours." There was a subtle shift in King Shark's demeanor. The amusement faded, replaced by a flicker of genuine consideration, a dawning understanding. Arthur had struck a nerve. The true threat of Coram Wrath wasn't just to the established order, but to all established orders. Wrath's tyrannical was a cancer that would consume everything, leaving no space for independent operators like King Shark. He will not tolerate an independent power, even one as unconventional as yours. There was a subtle shift in King Shark's demeanor. The amusement faded, replaced by a flicker of genuine consideration, a dawning understanding. Arthur had struck a nerve. The true threat of Coram Wrath wasn't just to the established order, but to all established orders. Wrath's tyrannical was a cancer that would consume everything, leaving no space for independent operators like King Shark. He seeks to rule over a quiet, orderly Atlantis, Arthur continued, pressing his advantage, a place where the Ninth Tribe cannot exist, a place where you cannot exist. This is not about saving my crown, Nonaway. This is about preventing your extinction. We both stand to lose everything. A long, heavy silence stretched between them, broken only by the distant thrum of the deep-sea vents. King Shark's gaze remained fixed on Arthur, calculating, weighing the words. His enormous jaw worked slowly, thoughtfully. Finally, he spoke, his voice lower now, stripped of its earlier bravado. "And what would you offer, king who is no king, for my cooperation?" Arthur met his gaze. "Your autonomy, your territory, the continued undisputed rule of the Ninth Tribe, provided its activities do not threaten the greater well-being of Atlantis once Wrath is gone. And an enemy of your enemy, Notaway, is a powerful ally." It was an uneasy alliance, a pact born of desperation and mutual self-preservation. King Shark, the underwater mob boss, the ruler of the darkest corners of Atlantis, had agreed to lend his considerable muscle to the fight against Coram Wrath. It was a testament to Arthur's resolve, his willingness to set aside pride and prejudice, to seek aid from the most unlikely of sources when the very survival of his kingdom hung in the balance. This was not a king leading his loyal subjects. This was a desperate leader uniting disparate factions, bridging the chasm between law and lawlessness, all for the singular goal of freedom. The dark bargain was sealed, not with a handshake, but with a shared, grim understanding of the immense task ahead. It highlighted a profound truth about leadership. Sometimes, the greatest strength lies not just in wielding power, but in the humility to seek it from unexpected places, to find common ground with even the most unlikely allies. For Arthur, the survival of Atlantis demanded nothing less than this extraordinary and deeply unsettling alliance. This tale of Aquaman and King Shark reminds us that in times of dire crisis, the lines we draw, the factions we identify with, can blur. The path to victory often requires uncomfortable compromises and the courage to unite disparate forces under a common urgent cause. What are your thoughts on Aquaman's unconventional alliances? Have you ever had to work with an unexpected partner to overcome a challenge? Share your experiences and insights in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. If you found this story compelling, please consider following for more explorations into the rich lore of these incredible characters.